Hello and welcome to Zwift number 84. We are going to be doing stage 3 of the Zwift Unlocked series. This is around the Scotland After Party circuit, which involves 4 laps around the Glasgow reverse before finally going up the Skids Summit North. Here is a closer look at the route. You can see that we've got the champion sprint to negotiate, which if you're doing the crit course is the close to the start finish line. And then we've got the Clyde kicker in reverse, it's the backside of it obviously. So here we are, where there were 210 people enrolled in this race. 184 actually started and went over the start finish line. We're going to be doing 14.8 kilometres in distance, which involves 196 metres of incline. It's Monday night. We're in the 210 to 330 category again. I had a Zwift racing score of 319 before the race, dropping just by 1, and that was how it was going to hopefully pan out. It's been a really enjoyable series so far, despite my position. Only enjoyable from the point of view that YouTube videos have absolutely gone through the roof. Before Zwift number 81, I had a highest amount of views of 255, while Zwift 81 is in the 600s and Zwift 83 I think is close to 900 now. So a massive improvement on views. No idea why, but very pleased with that. Lots more people following the channel, lots more people commenting on the races, so really pleased that it's had that sort of coverage and interaction. So here we are, like I said, on the Glasgow reverse. A few little punchy inclines to negotiate. Here's the first one, which has got an average of around 6.7 watts per kilogram, and you can see that I got up out of my seat there and punched it up there, getting up to around 500 watts, and improved my position because we've been quite stretched at the moment. We're 2.2 kilometres into the race. Like I said, we've got 4 laps of this circuit to go. I quite like this circuit. I've done this circuit in a crit race before and been quite successful and stayed with the leaders almost to the end. The reason I like it is there's only two main inclines. Here's the second one, which is going at the back of the Clyde kicker. There's plenty of power-ups to be had, although I didn't use too many of them. But the inclines around the circuit are quite short and punchy, so I can manage those quite well. So currently you can see that I'm in 80th position. There's not too many other riders behind me, but I think we're just showing up the 100 riders who are closest to me, because there's no sign of the other 100 or the other 80 riders, because we had 184 who started. No sign of them on the mini-map in the top right-hand corner. But just be aware, you can see in the mini-map there the cross-section with the Skids Summit North route to the finish line, so that was just something to be aware of that we were going to have to tackle. But feeling relatively happy here. Heart rate mid 150s, average heart rate of 252 is pretty high, so that's good. Is that a reflection on that I am trying too hard, or is that a reflection on that it's going well at the moment? I'm not sure. So we're already 4.4 kilometres into the race. Usually races are around about the 20 kilometre distance, but this one was slightly shorter than that. So that was helpful in some ways. And potentially I was going to get confused with somebody else. Well, I saw at least 2 others actually riding in the Zwift, Swedish Zwift racing colours, and one of them we've just had by my side. But you can see another punchy incline there, and I get into the top 5 or 6 riders, and I'm just able to ease off. Heart rate's at 160, so there's still a little bit of leeway in the heart rate. You know, max 170 is what I can sometimes pull out, given that I'm 56 years of age. 170 is really good, I think. So yeah, just working through the field, making sure that I'm getting a good position, making sure that there's plenty of draft to be had, you know, and pulled along by other riders. But you can see in the mini map that I'm in a good position, top 30 at the moment. After a comment in the previous race, I'd started the race trying to ride with a higher cadence, but after about 3 kilometres, I think it was just finding it too difficult, finding it too hard to maintain. I was having a cadence of around 85 revolutions per minute, and so it was something that somebody talked about in the last race, and how I would probably not fatigue as quickly, but I found it a bit of a struggle, and I will try and work on it again. There must be a happy medium there somewhere, but you can see here my cadence is back down to around the 70 mark, and I've dropped down into my lowest gear, so I'm pushing a big gear now, but finding in some ways, I don't think I've got a true understanding of it, but finding in some ways that I was able to stay in a better position, because you'll see that in those first few kilometres I was, you know, right back in like 50th, 60th position. I know everyone's pushing hard at the start and riding at an increased rate, but I was just finding it too difficult. But, you know, back in my lowest gear, 24 speed, so in 24th gear, I just found that I was able to stay with the riders a lot easier by being in that lowest gear and having a lower cadence as well. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just something that suits my riding, and that not everybody can ride at that higher cadence. So back in around 60th position now. I do see that there's a split, so I'm wondering how many other riders are behind me, but just punching it up that second incline over the back of the Clyde Kicker again, getting myself into a top 20 position as we drop down the other side, and I'm able to ease off now for the other 2/3 of the lap, because the inclines are only there's only 2 and they're quite close together. So you can see now that we are pretty much on a flatter section all the way through to that first punchy incline that we'll see a little bit later on. So I think we've done 3 laps of the circuit now, and we've got 1 more to go. Heart rate just under 160, so I'm working quite hard. Average watts is 251, so that's really pleasing that it's up that high. There's no real attempt to hold back on the watts. I am working as hard as I possibly can. I'm not looking to ease off to get a draft. If I'd eased off any more, I probably would have dropped off the back. So this is me easing off, but having to ride at around 250 average watts. So there we are. That's the crit course start-finish line that we've gone past in the champion sprint. So we'll be heading back around through this little curve and kink in the course that, if you've done this crit course before many times, you'll recognise, before we jump up at first punchy incline with I think it peaks at 6.7 or 6.8 percent, but again punching up hard, and I think I actually go into the lead at this point. Well, it says I'm in the lead, but oh well, there you go, I am in the lead there. Sometimes the position in the position scores on the right hand side don't correlate with where you are actually on the circuit. So I'm easing off now, although you can see that my watts are still around the average mark. Just wanting to punch up. This one I felt was a little bit easier to overcome. Slightly longer in distance, but slightly less percentage. So top 20th-ish position. We're all spread out, and now we are inside the last 3 kilometres, and we're going to be heading off towards the Skids Summit North shortly. So staying with the front riders, normally I would have given you some views of the front groups as they ride along in their various little mini groups, but for me tonight I am part of that front group, so that's really pleasing. Got a bit of motivation from Daniel TV Wren, who also has a channel on YouTube. There he is there, saying that he's lost because he's just come out of the circuit route, so he was a little bit lost as to where he was. And we start heading uphill shortly, inside the last 1.5 kilometres, and I'm still with the leaders. So here we are at the bottom of the hill, and I change my cadence. I push off hard first of all, but then I change my cadence and just go into slightly higher gear, and then I start spinning a little bit quicker shortly. You can still see my revolutions are in the high 60s, but that does change shortly. There we go. So just flicked it up a few gears, and that's where my position starts to alter in the race. So currently, well, it said, oh gosh, said it was 10th then. That's nowhere near accurate. So I'm sure that the group starts to split shortly. You can see that I'm 39th here, and I had the impression that when I left in 39th there weren't many riders behind me, but there were certainly by the looks of things there. So we'll just start following quite a few of the riders up at the front here. Slowed it back down to normal speed, and here we are riding with M. Holton, who's right up at with the front riders. Still a number of riders in contention for taking the win, but M. Holton does start to drop away shortly, and we start following a different rider. Here we can see somebody in the black hat bombing through. I'm not sure which rider that is, but you can see that M. Holton's dropped right back now. So then we'll start following Matic Podolznik, who had a good finish in the end, and we'll reveal that in a little bit later. But Podolznik is quite far up near the front at the moment. We haven't got too far to go. You can see the finish line in the mini map as we go. We've got about 5 or 6 bends to go before we go up. Podolznik, it says, is back in 5th position. I think he's the rider in the centre of the screen there, but he's overtaken, and we've got Shitskapansky right up at the front now. He's chasing down Xavier Darine, who's just in front of him. Quite interesting because I'm not sure where Shitskapansky finishes, but he's certainly not in the top 10 by the time we finish. You can see he's going backwards now into 9th position, but now it says he's back into 3rd. It's never reliable following those figures, but we'll filter on from that. Here's Xavier Darine right up by the finish line. He's got another rider just in front of him. That was in fact Martin Fritschk. So then we had Nicholas Charpentier, but you can see how close all these riders are together. There's Mikonyenko. There's Sketschupan back in 12th. Dugard. And then just panning back through all the different riders here. Is Jamie Rankin coming over in 23rd position. Then we got Bruno Gulliver. Then we've got Ronnie Nihus, followed by C-Moll, who gets Daniel T-Viren, overtakes him right at the finish line. Then we've got Mark Adamson in 37th position, the Scottish rider, followed by Peter Kalman a few places behind. I wasn't able to get every single rider. There's Stephen Hand, as well as Vladimir Obisi coming over the line. Then back to D. Schmidt in around 50th position. Then we've got Maurice Dupont. I do spot myself on the screen, so I look at myself and look, I must be going to be ended up about 67th position. Dupont gets passed by Wouter Verbist, who puts in a real good sprint at the end. Martin Thorpe coming over the line there. Then we've got Linus Elftun, followed by Hubert Jolie, a few places behind him, and they're back in 71st position now. I've dropped back to, and ending up on 1 minute and 38 seconds behind the rider is myself, averaging 245 watts, which is 2.7 watts per kilogram, which I'm really pleased with. Finishing in 24 minutes and 31 seconds. There's confirmation that I finished the stage, which obviously you can see, but really pleased with 2.7 watts. That's not something I've done for some time. I'm hoping to get on and ride a few times this week. But let's go through the top 10 first before we discuss that. First, Martin Fritsch in 22 minutes and 52 seconds, averaging 292 watts. Second, Xavier Darine, 2 seconds behind. Third, Nicholas Charpentier, just over almost 3 seconds behind. Fourth, we had El Puntara. Fifth, we had Matej Podolsnik. Sixth, we had Alex Ree. Seventh, we had Lair. Eighth, we had Kay Ung. Ninth, we had A. Wheatley. And in 10th position, had R. McKinnon. So there it is. Like I said, good finish for me, 2.7 watts. I'd like to hope that we can get lots of people watching the video again. Please subscribe. We can get up over 200 subscribers after this race. Potentially we're 10 short at the moment, currently on 190, but that has increased gradually and seems to be building up a bit of speed and momentum in regards to subscribers. And like I said, a lot more people viewing, a lot more people liking the video, a lot more people commenting as well. Please put some comments in about the cadence and what your views would be. I'm hoping that some of you will say that yes, some people are more suited to lower cadence and pushing a bigger gear, and high cadence doesn't suit everybody, because that's what I'm finding at the moment, although I do want to try it again. So yeah, I won't be around next Monday, but I will try and do stage 4 on later on in the week, that week. But I will catch you again soon. But I can't reiterate, just please subscribe and like. It's quite enjoyable and pleasurable, and I'll therefore be putting out more videos in that case. Okay, cheers, catch you all again soon, bye bye.